In the garage we gather round, old machines and muscle bound, American dream in metal found. Rev it up, let's hit the road, feel the fire, let it explode. Legacy in every mode, journey ridden, shift to load.
I'm getting to the tail end of the upholstery for the Daytona. Just chip away at it, sometimes at night or on the weekends, and over a period of time, because the car takes sometimes 12 months, so I can easily take 3 to 6 months just chipping away at this on the side. So this is what I've been aiming for. This is a modern seat, an old interpretation on a modern seat. So I've emulated the pattern with as a 69 Charger pattern, but obviously I've just winged it all. All of it is just by visual inspection from original interiors. This insert entirely is my doing. The rest of the seat is its original pattern for the late model car that the seats come out of. So I'm on to my last cover. I can sort of throw that on while we're on the camera. So this is the last one left that I've had to make. This is the bun that it goes onto. Quite different than the 60s and 70s. Obviously a lot more side support, which is handy when you're going sideways, which I never do, of course. So that really makes it more comfortable, the seats are much more padded. I mean, I've found driving my old 60s and 70s cars with modern seats, the cars seem to ride better. They're just more comfortable for doing long drives. It really improves the car. So I'm a real fan of doing late model seats. Not everyone likes it. I try to do it, as you can see, in a design that doesn't hit you in the face too much, and hopefully I get away with it. I run an old school type of headrest, so it sort of blends in. So I just want it not to strike you as being wrong, but obviously it's never going to be right. So I've done a few cars that way. Of course, if it's an original, like my Sport Fury GT and my Superbird, those cars I want to look totally stock. But then other cars, you can slightly hot rod them, and as long as you can do it tastefully, I think it's a good way to go for me. Anyway, the other thing that's interesting, if you're not into upholstery, is the modern seats have got a different way of putting together. So these have a moulded-in Velcro strip that's moulded into the foam bun, and then when you make the pattern up or make the cover up, you sew in these felt fuzzy strips. And that's what actually pulls the shape of the seat in. Otherwise, you would never get that tuck line there like that. So the difference being with a 60s and 70s car, still have a similar thing, of course, but what they did back then was they would sew a little cotton pocket on the same stitch line, and then you'd put a wire through the pocket. Then the pocket would go down in the slot, and then you'd hog ring it from behind, and that would pull the shape in and give you the tuck that you wanted. So this is just a modern version of how they do it today. And also the old covers would have been pulled down to the side and then hog ringed all the way around, whereas this modern seat has got this hook arrangement that I'll show you how it works, goes onto the steel frame of the seat. So user friendly as far as installing it, but you still have to get your pattern right. If you get your pattern wrong, it'll still look shocking. So anyway, so we'll throw this one on. This is the last piece left, the interior. So it shows how pretty straightforward it can be. For one, if you cut your pattern right, but two, the modern way of installing. So it's literally just pulling the cover on, getting it into position. Kind of pull the corners around, make sure they're all the way down. There's always a lot of manipulating with your fingers when you're putting upholstery together. And then purely, we're just rolling this back over, a little bit of tension, and it hooks onto the steel frame. Flip it around. Got to use a bit more muscle as it starts to fully come on, because then it starts to pull tension on the top side. So that's two. Use my muscles a bit there. Need to move more muscles. Got to get it about 20 millimetres or 15 millimetres past the line, and so it hooks back in again. Lucky last. can tell you use a bit more muscle again. You got to remember that the tension is on the seat when it's stationary. When you sit on the seat, you actually take the tension off because it pushes the foam down and actually takes all the tension off the points that are under stress. That's like me, I'm under stress at the moment. I'm trying to get that to go on. Oops, sorry. Sometimes you just get it hard to get it to hook. You'll hear that clicking noise. There we go, like that. Just tuck those under there, the ends. Tuck them out of the way. These get hidden anyway, you don't see any of this because it gets covered by the rest of the seat. So, now, so that's the seat cover pulled on. And now I've got to push it down into the corner here to try and hook it on the Velcro. So this is a little bit you do with your eyes shut because you can't see. Sometimes you've got to go backwards and forwards a few times. Sometimes you hear it disconnect and you've got to go back and do it again. And if you look over here, here's the completed top halves of the seats. So I've sort of adapted some old school headrests in there. And hopefully when they sit in the car, they'll look the part. Happy with the stitching. And if you come down here, got some of the plastics, they're coloured, ready to go in. And there's the back seat as well, and top and bottom. So what I did is I manipulated these sizings of these panels so that they wouldn't look too far out of place with the modern front seats because they've got a smaller insert. So I've kind of reduced these a little bit so when you look in the car they'll all look sort of in a similar sizing. In the original 69 Charger, these inserts went right up here. They're much higher, much bigger, but it would look silly with great big ones on the back and little ones in the front seat. So this is why I've changed it all around to suit what I'm trying to do, which is modern front seats, but emulate the original pattern. So anyway, so it's coming along. I've nearly come to another interior finished. Watch that little lady getting to fall over there. I've got junk everywhere because this is all parts of the last couple of interiors, so I've got junk all over the joint. I've got a big clean up after this. So anyway, I'll finish that off and then I'll show you the end result. So after a bit of muscling offline, so that's basically pulled in there. You can see it's pulled in nice and tight here. All these ripples and stuff that you can barely see anyway, that'll improve in time with heat. Actually, I've got a heat gun which I waved over it, this heat gun over here. And that, you can see this one's come out beautiful and smooth, so I'll do the same with this one. So the last job left is, makes you cringe a bit when you've spent all this time doing sewing. Got to put these buttons in. Had these little buttons made. I sent off the material, the material I'm trimming it in, to a girl who made up these little buttons, which is really cool. I reckon they emulate pretty much the size. And you've got to do the unthinkable. You've got to stick a hole through the cover. So right in the middle. And you've got to go right down through the foam on the back and right through out to the other side. And it just works out perfect. It's going to fit in nicely with these straps. So now I've done that, and I get one of these little fellas, pull that out, and then poke it in the hole you just made, and hopefully it'll come down the other side. And I try to get it one side of the wire to the other side so that I can strap it around that wire, which I've just done. Where's the pliers gone? What did you do with the pliers, Faye? Here they are. Grab the wire, pull it through, and then on the outside here, I want a little bit of tension just so it pulls a little bit, just to make it look sexy. And then I twist those two wires together around that part of the springing. And I get my multi-grips, and then I can twist that kind of to the tension I want. And that pulls down, yeah, I think that's about right. Maybe a fraction more. which means I'm just going to make that a little bit shorter. And just lay that over so it doesn't dig into anything. There we have a little button there. Now I've got to do it over again. Oh, I hate that feeling going through your material. It's got to be done. You've got to get your tongue in the right place sometimes to get that there. I'm hoping that's poking through. There she is.
Close.
Okay, I'll get one under that. I'll come back a bit. Get one side around that. And then I can just loop it. Let's have a look at that. That's about right.
Fabulous.
There we go. So now I'm just going to run a bit of heat over that, and I've got to get some cleaner and get all the witness marks that I've put down for sewing. And a little bit of manipulating. There you go. So that's how you do a bit of upholstery. I'm trying to get wifey to point the camera in the right direction. Yeah, so might give you a bit of an insight on a different area that you wouldn't normally mess with. I like having a go at all aspects of car building, and I find it very rewarding. I'm not as good as some, I'm better than others, so it just depends on what you're chasing, and I like the fact that I try to do every aspect of the car, so you usually get a pretty good result, but I think that's going to look really good in the car, so I'm looking forward to seeing the colour. The colour is called lipstick, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm also going to match the wing on the tail of the Daytona to the interior, so the tail is going to be the same colour as the interior. Just sort of something I thought I might do. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one.